Hello everyone and welcome back to Module 1. This is Lesson 2 of your professional diploma in social media marketing. Attending every lesson is going to help you succeed on your social media journey. Thank you so much for choosing to study with Shaw Academy. I hope that you are ready to learn all about the various social media platforms that you can use for your business. Let's warm up with an interesting fact. Did you know that there are thousands of social media platforms, but not all of them are being actively used? Wikipedia has a running list of the active social media sites, which currently stands at around 212. This is a huge number of social media sites that you could potentially use. In your starter pack, you will see that there is a link to the Wikipedia list where you can view social media platforms that you can target for extremely niche markets. These might be worth investigating depending on what industry you are in. In case you have forgotten, my name is Jessica Hanna, and as your course educator, I am here to facilitate your learning and walk with you on your journey to achieve your goals. My favorite social media platform is Instagram. I love photography, so Instagram being an image-based platform really tickles my fancy. I especially love to follow National Geographic as they have the most beautiful landscape, wildlife, and portrait photographs. Before we begin, there are a few housekeeping tips to run through. We want to ensure that you get the best experience with Shaw Academy, so if you haven't done so already, you can download the app and remember to set the allow notifications so that you don't miss any lessons. You can also click on courses to view more information about the current course that you are on. And if you ever miss a lesson, it is possible to go back and watch a recording or to join class using the watch recording button. As always, we expect and encourage you to ask as many questions as you need to in order for you to understand the content. Our AI chatbot Morpheus is here to answer any questions that you have along with our course educators. You can ask questions and type your answers to any questions that I pose to you in the chat box, which is in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. You can also chat with Morpheus and chat with your classmates if Morpheus doesn't give you the answer that you are looking for. Asking your classmates what their thoughts are or answering any questions that they have will definitely help you with your understanding and knowledge of the course content. We would also really appreciate it if you could rate the responses that you get from Morpheus so that we can improve your Shaw Academy experience. If you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to email us on support@shawacademy.com. Let's quickly just give Morpheus a test. I would love to know what your favorite social media platform is and why. As we said at the beginning, mine is Instagram, and it's because of the photography element or the highly visual element of Instagram. That is really what I love about it. So what do you love, and which platform do you find yourself moving on to the most when you're bored? Lovely. Before we begin, this is just a reminder that success requires effort and commitment, and we are here to make it as easy as possible for you to attend lessons to help you succeed. That is what we want for you. So don't drop out. You will see improvements with every single lesson and learn new things and be closer to achieving your goals. Let's quickly recap what you learned in lesson 1. So you would have learned what marketing and social media is, where social media fits into your overall digital marketing efforts, why you should use social media for your marketing. You also learned about the social media marketing life cycle, as well as the different types of social media trends that you can use in your strategy and what budget to set aside for social media marketing. In lesson 1, I set a challenge for you. The challenge was to find an example from the trends that we discussed from brands that you follow online. I'd like to thank you all so much for your submissions. There were some really good campaigns there, and I joined in the class challenge as well, and this is my example. Okay, so I hope that put a smile on your face as much as it did on mine. I absolutely love Coca-Cola's marketing, and it's because of that factor. It's the emotional drivers that they use within their marketing that really just work so well. We will be learning more about targeting your audience using emotion in our Content Creation 101, which is lesson 7. So I hope that I will see you at that lesson. And I would love to know what you thought of that campaign. Do you feel like Coca-Cola right now? Because I definitely do. That is the power of good advertising. So what are your thoughts? Alrighty, let's get down to more serious business. So you are on lesson 2, and we will be learning about the social media platforms that are available online today. And there are so many that it can be hard to decide which platform is best to use for your business. But that is why I'm here to assist you in identifying which platforms you should be using for your business. So tell me, what platforms are you currently using? I would love to know. I know that maybe some of you are not currently using platforms, and that's why you're here, and that's perfect. Don't worry about it. Maybe you can tell me what platforms you're thinking of using. You can type your answer into Morpheus. But if you are currently using platforms, tell me, what platforms are they and why are you using them, and have you found them to be effective? Okay, so in this lesson, you are going to learn what a social media platform is. You will learn the different social media platform categories as well as the pros and cons of each. You will also learn which social media platforms are most used by people and what social media platforms are most used by businesses. We are also going to go through the different demographics and facts for the top 10 channels used by business, as well as how to choose the channels that you want to use for your social media marketing. The next lesson, which is going to be really exciting, we're going to be delving into how to decipher your target audience and develop buyer personas. So let's run over some of the important terms that you'll be hearing in this lesson and throughout the course. Content. This is the information and experience that is directed towards an end user or your audience. You will also hear the term resources. This is an economic or productive factor required to accomplish an activity. There is also engagement, which is the measurement of public shares, likes, and comments, as well as impressions. An impression is the number of times your content is displayed. We will also hear brand awareness, which is the extent to which customers are able to recall or recognize your brand. Then we have tags. In social media specifically, a tag allows users to engage with an individual or business profile when mentioned in a post or comment. You will definitely hear the word users a lot. Users are individuals who make use of a particular social media service. And then you will hear the word demographics, and we are going to go over some demographics. And this is statistical data relating to the population and particular groups within it. So before we get into the nitty gritty, would anyone like to hazard a guess at what a social media platform is? I know that all of you can probably give me some good examples of what social media platforms. What I really want to know from you is, what do you think the definition of a social media platform is? You can type that answer into Morpheus. Okay, great. So nicely done. According to Techopedia, a social media platform is a web-based technology that enables the development, deployment, and management of social media solutions and services. So there are some main types of social media platforms that we see online today. and each platform fits into a different category based on its main purpose. These categories will probably change in future as technology evolves, but for now we're going to identify and look at 6 main categories. Let's begin with the most obvious one, which is social networking platforms. This is the most traditional form of social media, and it allows users to interact with each other in different ways. First and foremost, it is a platform to network and connect with other people. The ways that we do it differ. But some examples of this would be Facebook and LinkedIn. Then we have photo sharing platforms. These are platforms that allow users to post images to visual feeds and interact with other users' visual content. So examples of this would be Instagram and Pinterest. Then there is also video sharing platforms, and these allow users to post videos to a feed that other users are able to watch and interact with. These examples would include YouTube and Vimeo. Other platforms that you may not have differentiated from the main ones include microblogging, and this enables users to share short snippets of information that other users can interact with. Examples of this would be Twitter and Tumblr. We also have community platforms, and these are particularly good for businesses. They allow you to interact with your audience. So these are channels where users can pose questions and receive answers, or they can start conversations with groups of people who have similar interests. Examples of this would be Quora or Reddit. And one of the latest types of platforms is interactive social media platforms. These are platforms that are more interactive and use experimental features such as augmented and virtual reality, as well as interactive games and music overlays. So these would include platforms such as Snapchat and TikTok. So we're going to go into a lot of these platforms in more detail coming up. So there is a crossover between all of these platforms, as you can post multiple content types, but it's important to understand what their main purpose is, along with the additional features that each platform has. In Module 3, which you definitely want to stick around for, we're going to take a real deep dive into all of these platforms and their various features. But for now, as with everything, there are pros and cons to each platform. So some of the pros of social networking are that these sites are able to integrate with most scheduling tools. The older social networking platforms, such as Facebook, they have had a lot of time to refine their features. So they are easily integratable and easy and convenient to use. Another pro is that the capabilities of these platforms extend to video and photo sharing as well. There are a range of other features. But some of the cons are that posting only links without the use of images or video may not gain as much engagement. Remember in lesson 1, we discussed the social media trends, so images and videos featured prominently on that list. And also, platforms such as Facebook prioritize personal content over content posted by businesses in news feeds. This was also a discussion that we had. Remember the data scandal that we spoke about in lesson 1. That is where this all originates from, making the platforms more social and less business orientated. Some of the pros and cons of photo sharing are that it increases brand awareness as it attracts attention much more than text, and it also provides an outlet for showing highly visual content. This is really useful for restaurants as well as product shots to entice your audience to purchase. However, the cons are that content upkeep may require a photo budget or dedicated production time, and some platforms such as Instagram are limited to mobile devices only. This means that it can make posting a lot more time consuming and difficult, even if you had to integrate it with a third-party management software that manages your social media. You then still sometimes have to provide permission on your phone for the platform to publish your content. So that can be a bit of a hassle. But it's definitely a platform worth using, and we'll see why a bit later in this lesson. The pros and cons of video sharing. Some of the pros are that video is a rising trend, and it will keep your brand relevant and findable as users are increasingly watching more and more videos. We will also have a look at some of the stats on how much video people actually watch, which is really, really interesting. Video is also helpful and applicable to a wide range of industries, as there are so many different content types that you can produce, from how-to videos to product explanation and demo videos. The list is endless. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in, there's always a video that you can create. But video content can be time-consuming to create and to produce, and video production can become a costly endeavor. In lesson 7, we will be looking at how to create content or some techniques to create videos on a limited budget. In the meantime, some of the pros and cons of microblogging are that microblogging allows you to share short, quick thoughts and ideas that attract attention. So this is really useful when you host events or for quick news updates. A lot of journalists use Twitter to keep their audience updated on newsworthy items. And then these platforms also allow you to drive conversion and engagement, as you can start a conversation around your brand. However, because you are limited to the number of characters that you can post, you have to be careful about how you word your copy. There is a huge chance of misinterpretation online, which means that you could start a negative stream of engagement and conversation around your brand. So there is an old saying that says all publicity is good publicity, but the same is not necessarily true for social media. It could get out of hand. So you definitely want to watch how you phrase what you're posting. And then some of the community network pros and cons are that as a business, you can answer users' questions or comment on a discussion topic to place yourself as a thought leader within your industry. And you can also start your own community groups, which can drive brand awareness as well as place you as an industry authority figure. The cons, however, are that your answers can get downvoted, which means that your posts go unseen and therefore impact your authority or expertise, and your audience may be too niche, or your product or industry may be too niche and too small to build a community around. So these are just some factors to take into consideration when you're looking to choose a platform. And then we have interactive social media. These platforms are awesome because they are creative and experimental, and they tend to attract younger audiences. They are also great for storytelling, which will attract people to your brand. And on the other hand, regular content production can end up being time-consuming and costly, and these platforms, again, generally prioritize user content over business content. So you have to be extremely specific about how you target your audiences. Now that you know about the different types of platforms, I would like to quickly find out from you if you can take a guess at which platform is the most popular. There are a lot of platforms to choose from, so quickly type into Morpheus which one you think dominates the world industry. Yes, folks, you guessed it, Facebook. It is by far the most dominant social media platform. This video that I'm playing for you now just shows how extreme Facebook's market penetration really is. It is a fascinating graph and really highlights Facebook's market domination, as well as how fast social media platforms come and go. It also highlights the need to follow trends while using platforms that are likely to stay around. This graph doesn't include certain platforms such as Messenger, WhatsApp, WeChat, or YouTube. YouTube is actually now the second largest used social media platform, just before Facebook. But we will look more closely at the most popular platforms. I just wanted to show you how Facebook makes it to the top and then continues to grow as the other platforms battle it out for second place. Let's quickly take a look at the channels by users. So we can see here, obviously we have Facebook, YouTube. Now this list includes WhatsApp, Messenger, WeChat, Instagram, TikTok, and then we have a few others. This is just to show you what the usage is of each platform. And also when you're looking at this, you don't always want to choose a platform based on the number of users. So if we look at QQ, Qzone, Sina Weibo, Douban, and Baidu, you can see that they are very popular platforms. However, these are mostly used in China and not anywhere else in the world. So unless you're targeting a specifically Chinese audience, you would not necessarily want to use these platforms. If we're looking at the most used social media channels for business, we can see here that we have Facebook, which comes in at 2.4 billion users, YouTube, which comes in just below that at 2 billion users. We have 1.3 billion users on Messenger, as well as Instagram and TikTok coming in on par at 1 billion users. And then we have 330 million users on Twitter, 322 million users on Pinterest. This has recently just taken quite a huge turn. It was on about 300 million, and it's recently grown quite significantly by 22 million over about the last year. And then we have 303 million users on LinkedIn, 280 million on Snapchat, which I think we should watch quite closely, as I believe that this is going to start taking off a lot more. And finally, we have 139 million users on Yelp. So these are monthly active users, which is important to keep in mind. We also want to just look at the internet penetration by country. So if we're looking at this around the world, you can start to get a good grasp of who is most likely to have access to internet and therefore access to social media. This is important as it can give you a very good idea of what marketing techniques you should be using based on the country that you are in. For instance, if you have a target market in Middle Africa, which has the lowest internet penetration at 12%, your best option may not be to use social media platforms. You may then rather want to look at more traditional marketing tactics, such as radio or print media. So this is why it's important to do your research and have an in-depth understanding of who your audience is. Because if we're targeting someone in Middle Africa, we may target someone who lives in Northern Europe a lot differently to someone who lives in Southern America. We have to consider what platforms they use, what challenges they face in their daily lives, and the environments that they live in. When you looked at those statistics, I'd love to know where you are based, and are you surprised by the internet penetration in your country? Tell me why. I am based in South Africa, and I definitely thought that the internet penetration would be lower than 51%, so I was definitely surprised when I saw those stats. We're going to start taking a closer look at all of the social media platforms. But before we do, I would just like to warn you that this section coming up is data and fact heavy. So please bear with me through this. And if there is anything that you don't understand, please feel free to ask Morpheus. This information is very useful to know, so try and stick with me here. Before we dive into all this data-heavy content, I just want to put the demographics into perspective for you. So as we go through, it will start to make more sense, but some of these stats are focused on all internet users, and some of these stats are of the total population of that category. It's crucially important, though, that you conduct your own research with regards to demographics based on your location that you are targeting. So when we go through these stats, you'll see that we have gender, and this is of all online users. So an example of that would be of the total number of females that are online, 60%, for instance, would be on Instagram. And then we also have age, and these are based on worldwide age groups. So of all of the 19 to 24-year-olds, 30% are using TikTok. I'm making these stats up as I go, so please don't write them down. This is just to give you an example and a good idea of how these stats work. And then we have location. So of all the adults living in a particular area, 50% of those are on Facebook. And the same goes for your income level and education level. So of all the adults worldwide, for instance, 80% of them might be earning $30,000 or more a year, and their education level of all the adults worldwide, of the people who have a college degree, 50% of them are on WhatsApp. So that is just an example of how these stats work. Let's dive into the heavy data. So we're going to start with the world's largest social media network, Facebook. It was launched in 2004, originally as The Facebook, but it was changed to just Facebook in 2005. It was started by a group of Harvard College students. I'm sure you all know Mark Zuckerberg and some of his friends. And it is considered one of the big 4 technology companies in the world, along with Amazon, Apple, and Google. On the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you can see the newest Facebook logo. It actually changes color in order to represent the other companies that it owns, such as Instagram, WhatsApp, and Oculus. A few quick facts about this platform. So 56% of people visit Facebook to get information, and this includes information on brands and products. The average price for an ad saw a 2% decrease, while ad impressions grew by 34%. So you can see here that they're definitely trying to push their advertising, especially because of the fact that there is a decline in organic reach. Then the potential reach of advertising for Facebook is 1.9 billion people. That is a lot of people that you are able to target. So your target audience is definitely on Facebook. And then 96% of Facebook users are on mobile. Again, highlighting the fact that in lesson 1, we spoke about developing mobile-friendly content. Here is the proof. Here is the evidence. 96% of those users are on mobile, but also a significant amount are on desktop, with the total number of active desktop users being 1.47 billion. So we have to bear in mind that whether you're looking at something on a desktop or on mobile, each of those features renders differently. So producing images that are the right size for each platform, or for each device rather, is highly, highly important. And then images make up 18% of posts, and link posts receive 76% less engagement than video posts. So, as we spoke about, we've highlighted the importance of using video as well as imagery in our posts, and again, this is why. Okay, there's a reason for it. We're not just making these facts up as we go along. There is data to support the fact that image posts and video posts receive a lot more engagement. So you definitely want to consider that in your social media strategy. And then we also discussed Facebook Stories, which have 500 million daily viewers. This is also your ephemeral content. So there's a lot of people viewing ephemeral content or stories, and you want to get involved in that. And then interestingly enough, politics is the highest category of Facebook Stories at 36% of all Facebook Stories. And 62% of people have reported being more interested in a product after seeing it in a Facebook video. So here again, we're looking at the fact that people are on Facebook. They're looking for product or brand information from you. You just need to provide it for what their interests are. And if we look at some of the demographics, we can see that the majority of users on Facebook are female, with the highest age group being between 18 and 29, mostly based in urban areas with a college education and higher, and earning over $75,000 a year. So if you are looking at targeting an audience on Facebook, you would more than likely look at a female who is between the age of 18 to 49, who lives in an urban location, has a college education or higher, and an income level of between $30,000 to $75,000 or more per year. Just quickly jumping back here, I just want to highlight the fact that when you look at these stats, you can see that males closely follow females. So it's not that you're only going to target females on Facebook, for instance. You definitely are. It's not that you're only going to target 18 to 29s, because if you look, your 50 to 64 age range is at 65%. So all of this data kind of has to be taken with a pinch of salt, and you need to do your own research depending on who your target audience is. And we will be looking at defining our target audiences in the next lesson. So bear that in mind as we go through this lesson and then into the next lesson as well. Alrighty, and then looking at YouTube. This was created by Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jawed Karim in 2005. It was bought by Google in 2006, and it now operates as a Google subsidiary. The platform allows users to upload, view, rate, share, add to playlists, comment on videos, and subscribe to other users' channels. There is also a premium version which removes adverts and allows users to download content as well as YouTube Music. This is the first video that was ever published on YouTube. You're more than welcome to go watch it. It was done by Jawed Karim, and it's his day at the zoo. Not the most enticing video that anyone has ever seen, but it was the first. some of the interesting YouTube facts that we have gathered. So 79% of internet users say they have a YouTube account. That is literally the majority of the internet who uses YouTube. It also supports 80 different languages, and 1 billion hours of video are watched on YouTube every day. So, as we were saying at the beginning of this lesson, while producing video content may be time consuming, people are watching video. So this is a platform that you need to take advantage of. And also 62% of businesses use YouTube as a marketing channel, which means that the likelihood that your competitor is on YouTube is very, very high. A few more interesting facts are that 70% of watch time is on mobile. So producing content that renders correctly on mobile is very, very important. And 90% of people say they discover new brands or products on YouTube. So again, not only are people looking for entertaining content, but they are also looking for brands and looking for products on social media platforms. And then 500 hours of video is uploaded to YouTube every minute. That is a staggering amount of content. So this highlights the need to create targeted content for your audience so that they can find you. And YouTube is responsible for 37% of all mobile internet traffic. So 30% of people who go onto their phone, onto the internet, are going to YouTube. So there's no shortage of people to target through YouTube videos. If we look at the demographics, the majority of users are male, with the highest age group being between 18 to 24, living in urban areas with a college education or higher, and an income level of $75,000 or more per year. You can see that compared with Facebook, there is again a small gap between gender. But interestingly, if you look at the income level, 89% of users earn more than $75,000 a year, while the rest of the income ranges fall within only 20 to 26% of users. So this tells us that these users have a disposable income to spend on your product or service. If we're looking at the ideal target audience, you're looking at someone who is male, falls between the ages of 18 to 34, who lives in an urban area with some college education and an income level of $75,000 or more. So you would definitely want to use YouTube. Let's move on to Messenger. So this is a messaging app and platform that was originally called Facebook Chat. Users can send messages, photos, videos, audio, and files over Messenger, and they can also voice or video call, as well as react to other users' messages and interact with chatbots. So as we saw at the beginning of the lesson, there are 1.3 billion users on Messenger, while there are 2.4 on Facebook. And this is because you can download Messenger separately to Facebook without having to have a Facebook profile. So this stands as a platform all on its own. If we look at some of the stats, 40 billion businesses are on Facebook Messenger. So again, in lesson 1, we spoke about personalization and targeting users personally. Facebook Messenger is extremely useful for this, as you can interact with your users. 11% of the world's population use Facebook Messenger on a monthly basis, and there are 300,000 chatbots on Facebook Messenger in 200 countries, and there are 410 million people who use the audio and video calling features on a monthly basis. A few more facts. 20 billion messages are sent monthly between users and businesses on Facebook Messenger. So what this tells us is that not only are businesses just bombarding their users, but that users actually do want to interact and engage with businesses and brands. The average group size on Facebook Messenger is 10 people, and an average number of 5 billion emojis are sent per day, while 25,000 GIFs are sent per minute on Facebook Messenger. So don't be afraid to use some of these formats, but also read your target audience or the person that you're interacting with and ensure that it is in line with your brand. So the majority of users on Messenger are female, with the highest age group being 25 to 34. It doesn't mean that you can't target other age groups, but there is a significant number of 25 to 34-year-olds, followed by 18 to 24 and 45 to 54. So you can have a look at those demographics after the lesson. A candidate on Messenger would be a female who falls between the age ranges of 25 to 34. Jumping onto my favorite platform, Instagram. It's also known as IG or Insta, and it was originally launched as only an iOS app in October 2010, and a version for Android was released in April 2012. It was created by Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger, and it was purchased by Facebook in April 2012. The platform allows for photos and videos to be posted with various filters available. Information can be organized by tags and location information. An account can also either be set to private with pre-approved followers or to a public account, which is best for businesses. So if you look at your Instagram account, please make sure that it is on public. And then Instagram also features stories and IGTV. Some interesting facts about Instagram. There are 500 million users making use of the platform every day. That is a lot of people going on a daily basis. Instagram is also the second most engaged network after Facebook. So if you're looking to drive engagement within your business, then you definitely want to be using Instagram, provided that you have highly visual content to share. The average time spent on Instagram is 53 minutes. That is almost an hour's worth of time to target your audience in a day. And 83% of Instagrammers say they discover new products and services on Instagram. So I'm sorry that I'm reiterating and drilling, but your audiences are on social media, and that is where you want to meet them. They're also looking for brands, and they want to interact with brands, and they want to know about your business and about what you have to offer them. So make sure that your content is targeted to your audience in order for them to find you more easily. A few more facts. So 1/3 of the stories that are viewed are from businesses. Again, people want to hear from brands. They want to know what you're up to. They want to know what you have to offer. 50% of users follow at least one business, and Instagram generates over 4 times more interactions than Facebook does. So if you're looking to drive those interactions and engage with people, Instagram is definitely a good platform for this. And Instagram helps 80% of users decide whether to buy a product or service. So as much as they're looking for information on a product or brand, they are also using it to decide whether they're going to purchase your product or not. So this is really an ideal platform to use. So if we look at some of the demographics for Instagram, the majority of users are female, with the most prominent age group being between 13 to 17. The majority of users are in urban areas, and most have a college education or higher, with an almost even split between users earning $70,000 and more and income levels of between $30,000 to $49,000 a year. Based on this, we would look at our ideal target audience being a buyer who is female and between the ages of 13 to 29, living in an urban location with some college education or higher, and an income level of between $30,000 to $75,000 a year or more. One of our rising stars is TikTok. Originally called Douyin and launched in 2016, not to be confused with Douyin. It is still used in China as Douyin in order to comply with Chinese censorship restrictions, but that is a conversation for another day. So TikTok allows for the creation and sharing of short-form lip-sync comedy and talent videos. The app was launched into the international market as TikTok in 2017 by a company called ByteDance. It also merged with Musical.ly and allows users to edit videos with filters, background music, speed options, and looping. Accounts can be set to private so that only friends can see videos, and it has a For You page that provides recommended videos based on previous interactions. A few facts about TikTok. So the average user spends 52 minutes on the app. Again, this is about an hour to target your audience online. It's also available in 75 languages, and it has a user engagement rate of 29%. So that is quite high. We will look at more detail in Module 3 about how to target your audience, or how businesses can use TikTok to target their audience. If we look at some of TikTok's demographics, the majority of users, again, is female, with the highest age ranges being between 18 to 24 and an income level of $100,000 or more. So we can see that these users definitely have a disposable income to spend. Our ideal audience might be female, who is between the ages of 18 to 35 and has an income level of $100,000 or more per year. Then if we take a look at Twitter, it was created by Jack Dorsey and a few other colleagues, and it launched in July 2006. Interestingly, the word Twitter means a short burst of inconsequential information or chirps from birds. We can see how that relates to Twitter, which has a character limit of 280, originally starting out at only 140 characters. However, for me, the use of Twitter is not really as inconsequential as the meaning of the word suggests. Twitter has been the hotbed of debates and news updates since 2015. During the 2016 US presidential election, it was the largest source of breaking news on the day, with 40 million election-related tweets being sent by 10 p.m. that same day. The platform also allows for posting of images and video, and it allows for easy identification of trending topics, as users can curate tweets from users into a large collection called moments. You can also follow other users, and you can host polls. A few interesting facts about Twitter. There are 500 million tweets posted every single day. 23% of the internet population are on Twitter, and the average Twitter user has 707 followers, while 77% of Twitter users feel more positive about a brand when their tweet has been replied to. So a lot of the time, users will turn to Twitter to make a comment to a brand, and they definitely expect a reply. So this is a perfect place to really connect with your customer. And if you're using employee advocacy, for instance, if one of your employers on Twitter has 707 followers, then that is a large market that you can start targeting. And then Twitter is also available in 40 languages. It serves more than 2 billion search queries per day. 83% of the world's leaders are on Twitter, and 80% of active users access the site on mobile. So again, we've seen a trend running through each of these social media platforms. Mobile usage is extremely high, and I know that I'm bashing this in, but I'm going to continue to do that because developing mobile content is extremely important. If we look at some of the demographics of Twitter, there is an almost equal split between female and male users, with the highest age group being between 18 to 29, based in urban locations with a college education or higher, earning $75,000 or more per year. Our ideal target audience on Twitter would be female, and she would probably be between the ages of 18 to 34, living in an urban location with a college education or higher and an income level of $75,000 or more. Again, you're not only going to target females on Twitter, you will also look at who your audience is and what the stats of the various platforms will be in the location that you are in. Alrighty, let's dive into Pinterest. So it was founded by Ben Silbermann and 2 other colleagues. It allows users to discover and save information through images, GIFs, and video. CEO Ben Silbermann describes the platform as a catalog of ideas that inspires users to go out and to try that thing. The platform features buyable pins where users can purchase directly on the platform and receive notifications about price drops on pins, as well as rich pins which allow for more information than a normal link. Some interesting facts about Pinterest. 250 million people use Pinterest every month, and 80% of those Pinterest users are on mobile. Again, drilling this in, guys. Developing mobile content is extremely important in the world that we live in today. 85% of women use Pinterest to plan life moments. So this is key information because it tells you what kind of content to create. If you are a wedding planner, then Pinterest is definitely a platform that you want to be using. 98% of Pinterest users try the ideas that they find on Pinterest, which is incredible because that is what the platform is dedicated to doing, as we heard from the CEO. And 59% of millennials have discovered products on Pinterest. So again, we've seen this trend running through all of the information and facts that we have seen. Users are going online to search for products, search for brands, search for services, as well as solutions to their problems. You just need to be there to meet their need. Some more interesting facts. 90% of weekly users use Pinterest to make purchase decisions. So the same as we saw on Instagram, people are not only using the platform to discover new products or brands, they're also using it to decide whether to purchase your product. 55% of pinners are looking specifically for products. Okay, that's a lot of people. That's more than half the people that are going on there. They're looking for a specific product. So especially if you have something that is highly visual and that people can try at home, then you want to be using this platform. 78% of users say content from brands on Pinterest is useful, and Pinterest also drives 33% more traffic than Facebook. So where you might get a lot of interaction or engagement on Facebook, if you want to be driving traffic to your website, then Pinterest is a great platform to do this from. Pinterest users have also been known to spend 29% more while shopping than non-users. So these are also users that are going to spend more on your website or simply from purchasing straight off of Pinterest. And then if we look at some of the demographics, again, the majority are female, but Pinterest specifically, female usage outweighs male usage by a ton. So this is definitely a female-focused platform at the moment. I think that male engagement or male usage will definitely rise over the years. We'll just have to keep an eye on that. Then the top age groups are between 18 to 29, and here also we've got an exactly even split between 18 to 29 and 30 to 49. They mostly live in suburban areas with a college education or higher and an income level of over $75,000 a year or more. So if you're targeting a buyer persona who is female and she is between 18 to 49, she lives in a suburban location, she has some college education or higher and an income level of $75,000 or more. And if we look at LinkedIn, this platform was founded in December 2002 by Reid Hoffman and other founding team members, and you can get more information on that in your summary notes. So LinkedIn is mostly used as a professional network for employers to post jobs and for job seekers to post their CVs. In social media marketing, it is largely used as a business-to-business marketing platform. It is also a wholly owned subsidiary of Microsoft. A few interesting facts about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is responsible for 80% of B2B or business-to-business social media leads. So it's a really good platform for gaining leads in order to make contact and nurture that process. 77% of recruiters are on LinkedIn. The average user spends 17 minutes on LinkedIn per month, but a job seeker can spend up to 30 minutes per day on LinkedIn. So again, if you're in the recruitment industry, this is a platform that you definitely need to be on. A few more interesting facts for this platform. 33% of millionaires use LinkedIn, so you know that you've got a high income bracket. 57% of LinkedIn members use mobile, so not as many as we're seeing on the other platforms, but definitely mobile content is a consideration on this platform. 27% of LinkedIn members have between 500 and 999 connections. Okay, that is a lot of connections. I don't think I even know that many people. When you are using, again, employee advocacy, drive your employees, especially on LinkedIn, to share company information because they potentially have a lot of connections that they can reach that you may not have thought of or that are outside of your market and can generate business. And then LinkedIn is also available in 24 languages. If we look at the demographics here, we actually have a perfectly even split between female and male users, with the highest age group being 30 to 49. So we're targeting a much higher age bracket, mostly based in urban areas, with a very high number of users that have college education or higher and an income level of $75,000 a year or more. Our ideal persona then would be both male and female, between the ages of 30 to 49, living in an urban location with a college education or higher, and again an income level of $75,000 or more. And then we're going to move in a completely different direction when we look at Snapchat. And this was originally developed by Evan Spiegel and a few other team members. When it was originally launched, it was actually called Peekaboo, which is quite cute, I think, if you can see the ghost there. But Snapchat is a multimedia messaging app that allows users to exchange pictures and videos that disappear after they are viewed. The site also features stories, which last 24 hours, as well as a Discover tab that lets brands show ad-supported short-form content. So that's definitely a feature that you want to use on Snapchat. If we look at some of the facts about Snapchat, there's an average of 3.5 billion snaps created every day. And the average time on Snapchat is approximately 25 to 30 minutes. So while this is less than other platforms, it also means that you probably have to be a lot more targeted with your content. More than 400 million Snapchat stories are created per day, and 95% of Snapchat users say the app makes them feel happy. So when you're using this app or considering using it, remember that fact. You want people to associate happiness with your brand, and clearly using this app makes people feel a lot more happy. So then they will associate that feeling with your brand. If we look at some of the other facts, there are more than 20,000 photos shared every second. That is a lot of photos per second. And countries with the largest Snapchat audiences are the US, UK, and France. So if you are targeting anyone in those locations, you know that Snapchat is definitely a place that you want to be. And then 57% of brand content on Snapchat is video. So key points here, you want to ensure that you're on the Discover tab with videos that are short and featuring or targeting the US, UK, and France. If we look at some of the demographics here, most of the Snapchat users are female, with the highest user age group being between 13 to 17. The majority are living in urban areas with a college education or higher and an income level of between $50,000 to $74,000. So while the age range here is much lower and also the income range is lower, don't underestimate the spending power of a younger audience. First of all, they are going to finish school and study and get jobs, and they will become your next generation to target in terms of buying, but they also probably live at home and they might have access to disposable income from their parents. So it is an age range that you don't want to completely cancel out or ignore. And if we look at our ideal persona, it would probably be a female who is between the ages of 13 to 29 and lives in an urban location with a college education or higher and an income level of between $50,000 to $74,000 per year. And finally, we're going to take a look at Yelp. So Yelp was founded in 2004 and falls under the category of a directory service. The reason it's seen as a social network is because it crowdsources reviews from businesses. You can also comment and you can down or upvote. And as we said in the last lesson, people trust people they know or the opinion of an ordinary person over branded information. It was originally supposed to be an email-based referral network. The name Yelp is a combination of the words help and yellow pages, and it only became an online recommendation platform after Stopperman fell ill and battled to find a doctor online. Businesses are also able to private message reviewers, and there is a questions and answers section for users to ask venue-specific questions. A few facts about Yelp: 67 million reviews to date, 86,000 active small business accounts, and shopping and retail is the largest business category at 23% of reviewed businesses, followed by restaurants and home local services. After visiting Yelp, 93% of visitors tend to make a purchase. Obviously, this is provided that you have a good review, and 83% of visitors make a purchase within 1 week of visiting Yelp. And then we also see that over half of Yelp users take action with a local business. This can be calling, visiting, or making a purchase. Yelp penetration leads to an increase in revenue for independent companies, but it usually leads to a decrease in revenue for chains. So if you are a small mom and pop shop, you definitely want to be on here. And it's also relatively self-sufficient as users review your products. You might just have to follow up with them and see if their rating was a mistake or if they'd like to upvote you. It's also available in 15 languages, and 79% of the searches are done on mobile. So I know that I'm drilling this in really hard, but mobile content is key to social media at the moment. If we look at some of the demographics, the majority of users on Yelp are female, with the highest age group being between 35 to 54. Most users have a college education and an income level of $100,000 or more per year. So you know that users on Yelp have a high disposable income. And then if you are targeting, you might want to look at a female who is between the ages of 35 to 54, has a college education, and an income level of $100,000 or more per year. So I know that was a lot of information to go through. I really hope that you can understand why we went through all that information, and I hope that it backs up some of the stuff that I've said in lesson 1. So obviously you don't want to use all 10 of these platforms. How then do we choose which social media platform to use? There are some factors that you should look at. You need to consider what industry you are in. You also need to consider who your target audience is, what resources are at your disposal to create the content for the relevant platforms. Remember, desktop content versus mobile content may differ. And then finally, what kind of budget do you have? We can look at some general guidelines for businesses. So if you have a startup, you probably look at using 1 to 2 platforms. If you have a medium to large business, you might look at using 2 to 3 platforms. And if you have an enterprise size company, you could look at potentially using 3 to 6 platforms. Coming up in the next lesson, we are going to learn about deciphering your target audience and the buyer journey, which is going to be really exciting, especially seeing as we've looked at what kinds of users are on each of the platforms. We'll really be able to drill down into who your audience is and then how to connect your audience with the various platforms. In lesson 2, we have learned what a social media platform is, the different platform categories that you get. We looked at the various channels that people use versus the various channels that businesses use, as well as some facts and demographics for the top 10 channels. And we've looked at how to choose your social media channel. Congratulations on completing lesson 2. I hope that you learned something new, and I hope that you're excited to start choosing your social media platforms. Please feel free to send us any feedback or any suggestions. You can email support@shoreacademy.com. And again, well done on completing the lesson. Remember that every lesson builds towards your goals. Just don't drop out and you will achieve them with us. Thank you so much for choosing Shore Academy and for attending lesson 2. I will see you at lesson 3.